Hi everyone. So it looks like I'm gonna have to do that one thing that every author does. So since 2020 I became an author. So every author does that one video where they talk about their book. I'm not a big person on self promotion. I'm quite quiet. I don't, I like keeping myself to myself. That's probably why this YouTube channel sort of fell a bit flat at one point. But I'm challenging myself to be a bit more, you know sociable, I guess, on social media. So it's that obligatory author video that I'm doing. So my book is Aradia, A Modern Guide to Charles Godfrey Leyland's Gospel of the Witches, with Llewellyn Worldwide. I hate having to do this, trying to see if it's on frame. It's had some really great feedback, and I've really appreciated everybody who's given feedback to the book since its release. It's been quite amazing, really. So, what's the book about? So, it's my own translation of the Italian portions of Charles Godfrey Leyland's original Aradia, or the Gospel of the Witches. So, for those of you that don't know, I'm half Italian, half English. So, when it comes to the Italian part, I obviously noticed when there were elements of I don't want to rip him apart, but there was elements of his translation that weren't great. I'll just put it like that. So I corrected some of the errors in the translation where possible, because the original Italian text was still available in his own book. I then used, so I kept those parts as the gospel, and then the book spreads out. So it addresses things in sections, to the Gospels and the Revelations. The Revelations are my parts where I analyse the original text. I look at any cultural references, historical references, and really just open up a discussion about the little bit of the gospel that we've just looked at before we move on to the next part, so that you get really a full understanding. Because I think some things might go unnoticed unless you're familiar with Italian culture. So it was adding those elements so that reading it really meant something, that you could get like a full understanding, a full range of the little nods and references and wider discussion that the original book and other translations just don't give. So that was the main part of it, the main goal. But then the book also has, so that part's my gospel part, which is obviously a lot bigger. If you've ever seen original printings of the gospel, it's quite thin compared to this. I know you can't really see easy. And then this part's a part two, which is thinner, but it's useful. So that was original content that I've added to the book, just to sort of say how a modern practice can be drawn from the gospel. It's witches' gospel, but what does it mean for our practice today, and not just 1899? So it was. It's not a set dogma, a set ritual practice. It's here suggestions, spells, a ritual format that you could use or use as a springboard inspiration for your own magical practice should you want to. But the book itself represents great revolution for witches. 1899 witchcraft. The Witchcraft Act in Britain was still here, but the book was well circulated. It's never been out of print, so it's a really great symbol of rebellion. The whole thing is literally, it opens with witches worshipping a goddess to overcome oppression from the state, the law, and carve out their right to be people of power who have the ability to shape their own lives and destiny. And I think that's a great symbol for any time, particularly things that are going on in the world right now. I think reminding ourselves that we can be self-empowered is really important. So it was one of those things where I guess you sort of can take it however you want, use it as a springboard for any type of inspiration that you want. I've had a number of people, and I was quite surprised who've reached out to me since it's released, who've told me that they've literally found it life-changing, which for them, I don't know where their lives were, but they've found a great source of inspiration within the text, and it's really helped to move their life in a more positive direction. Again, that wasn't something that I sort of set out to do. It was just to correct the translation, put a bit of historical context there. But of course, I'm thrilled that it's helping people and that people are finding it useful, interesting, and of course, I'm really open to people reaching out to me through socials. My socials are in my video descriptions, so make sure you follow there, and even if you just want to say hi, that's fine. But I've had people really wanting to talk more about it, and I have more to say on the subject. Editing means that certain things don't make the cut because sometimes publishers just decide that some readers might just not find certain things interesting. But then if they do, they have more questions, you can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to discuss more with people. So yeah, that's the book. I feel so cringe. Yeah, it's available everywhere if you want to buy it. It's on ebook, paperback. It's with Llewellyn Worldwide if you want to find it. Quick reference, or a quick, not reference, a quick point. So this is the book cover. If it has my name on it, Craig Spencer, and it's called Aradia, A Modern Guide to Charles Godfrey Leland's Gospel of the Witches, but you do not see this book cover, what some websites are advertising is, so when you have traditional publishing, you have, what's called concept design. So sometimes they'll create a really simple sketch and just use it to represent the book until the final cover is done. So you might see something and it's just like a black and white of people dancing, and it's just got like a sepia strip on it, which is supposed to represent this image, and then this sort of like bronzy, goldy colour. And so it was just concept design. And this is the book that you would get in the post if you order online, but you don't see this cover. So as long as it's called Aradia, it's got my name on it, Craig Spencer, this is the book that you will get, even if the illustration that they're using on their website, because through certain tech things within the industry, certain websites don't auto refresh when you update with your newest cover, and some do. So yeah, some people might just still have the concept illustration there, which is just a little placeholder until the final sketch is done. When I'm talking about the sketch, actually, some people have been asking me about this illustration. So the illustration is a very classic Italian image of the witches of Benevento dancing around sacred walnut tree, and I was really sort of convicted that that's what I wanted on the book, because it represents the culture, the history of Italian witchcraft, and the roots of where that book started. And being half Italian as well, it's a nod to me, it's a nod to the book, it's a nod to everything. And Llewellyn did a great job with it. They didn't use the original illustration. What they did is they did their own original sketch of the original. So it's like my version of a classic image, although the two are very, very close. You wouldn't necessarily know that it isn't the exact same image. They did a really great job with it. So yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to message me. And also in the description, I'm going to drop a link because my wonderful friend and fellow author Elohim interviewed me a few months back. It's almost a year now. We did lightly touch on the book, but then I also just talked about me. My camera's gone, but I think the audio's still working. Yeah, 1 second, guys. Right, okay, I'm just going to carry on talking. So I'm going to drop in a link. Yeah, that's working. Okay, so I'm going to drop in a link in the description. Sorry about that. So I'm going to drop in a link in the description, which as the interview there, it touched on the book very lightly at the beginning, but we talk a lot about just, he asked me some great questions, and I share a lot of personal stories. So if you want to know a bit more about me, then and it was just a really easy, casual discussion. It was great. Yeah, you might enjoy that. So please go check that out and check out Elohim's channel. He's a great guy. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you.